What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today we have a fun one. We're going to be talking about Winnipeg Jets we will and could see at the 2026 Winter Olympics over in Milan. There's been a lot of talk about, what the Canadian lineup's going to be looking like, a lot here in Canada. And I thought that we'd take a look at the Jets roster and see who is a shoo-in and who could be going to the Olympics. We just came off of the Four Nations tournament less than a season ago. That was a ton of fun. We got to see some Jets players there. We'll be talking about a lot of those guys and a few more in this video, so let's get on into it. First of all, the most unsurprising name on this list, Connor Hellebuyck. 12 games played so far this season at the time of making this video. He does have 7 wins, 5 losses on the year. He's sporting a .235 goals against average and a .921 save percentage. Connor Hellebuyck has saved the Jets' ass big time throughout the early parts of the season here, where they haven't necessarily been playing fantastic 5-on-5. Connor Hellebuyck has had to come up big at times, and he, like always, does that for his Jets team. It would be a real shock if he wasn't the Olympic starter. He was the starter for Team USA in the Four Nations last season, and I would be shocked if he's anything but the starter for Team USA. I expect to see him between the pipes. This is the guy that won the Hart Trophy last season, the Vezina, 3-time Vezina winner, probably going to win his 4th this season. Connor Hellebuyck gives you the best chance to win in goal. He has the ability to steal games. I don't see a world where he isn't Team USA's starter. Now, moving over to Team Canada's slam dunk Winnipeg Jet, it's Josh Morrissey, Josh Norrisy as we call him over here in the city. 16 points in 16 games this year. The guy is on to just a blazing start to the season. Obviously one of the best options Canada has for defensemen. If Cale Makar didn't exist, I would imagine that Morrissey would be playing those top pairing minutes. I expect Devon Toews to be paired with Cale Makar, as obviously they have that chemistry together. But Josh Morrissey as your, second option is absolutely fantastic. Guy has been amazing so far here for the Jets, as he has been for the last 3-4 seasons. But we might be seeing one of the best seasons we've seen from Josh Morrissey maybe ever, and just really carried play here for the Jets. 9 games, he has 14 points in his last 9, right? The guy is just a freak. Unfortunately for Josh, he got sick during the Four Nations tournament and wasn't able to play in the gold medal game, so obviously missed out on the big moment. I'm sure he'll be motivated to have a big part in the Olympics this season. He's mentioned it a couple times how fun, it could be to play for Team Canada on the world stage, and I really look forward to watching Josh Morrissey there, and hopefully he doesn't get super ill this time, because I'd love to see the guy, go out there and fight for a gold medal. Now, next up, going back to Team USA, we've got Kyle Connor, guy that just got paid a big ass contract. And this was a guy that went into the Four Nations. He was in the top 6 to start, and by the end of it, he was a healthy scratch. And a lot of people shook their heads at that, saying, hey, how could you play Vinny Trocheck in front of, Kyle Connor? And I completely agree. I think Kyle Connor is one of the better players there, but with a poor performance at the Four Nations less than a year ago, does that stick in the minds of management over there at Team USA? Are they going to say, hey, you know what, we're going to give Connor another chance? Or did they just not like his play? Did they just not like his fit? And maybe they keep him off or keep him as an extra? I think he makes his team, but I do wonder if the leash is a little bit short for Kyle Connor. I do wonder a little bit, just because of the recency bias. He has had a very good season this year, 9 goals, 10 assists, 19 points in 16 games. But he's going to have to show something, because he didn't do anything to necessarily impress at the Four Nations last year. And I wonder if that sticks in the minds of Team USA's management. That's the only thing that I think would keep him off here. If we're talking, solely based on skill, I think he makes the team 10 times out of 10. The guy is absolutely electric, but he's going to need to show stuff early, because if he doesn't, I think there's a very real chance that he could get scratched. I don't think that it's, a possibility for him to really get taken off the roster. I think that would be a little crazy, unless, he totally dips here in the season. But I do imagine we'll see Kyle Connor there. What his role will be for Team USA remains to be determined. Now we're going to be talking about the guy that you've been waiting for me to talk about, Mark Scheifele, the biggest wild card I would say here, in the entire pool for Team Canada, maybe even the entire Olympics when it comes to, roster construction. Is Mark Scheifele going to be a part of this Winter Olympic team? He wasn't a part of the Four Nations last year. He had an injury. I believe it was a hand injury, and his numbers did dip in the early stages last season. He wasn't really shooting the puck a ton, and therefore Team Canada did not select him. Shortly after that team was announced, Mark Scheifele went on a blazing tear and was one of the best centers in the NHL last year. He obviously felt slighted. That lit a fire under him, and that fire has continued into this season. 9 goals, 12 assists for 21 points in just 16 games. Mark Scheifele has been anything but spectacular, and I see him as a guy that could definitely make Team Canada, but I think it comes down to what the preference is over there, because, there is a ton of talent coming up. A lot of, new generation players like Connor Bedard and Macklin Celebrini making this tough for Scheifele. Early on in the year, through the first 10 games or so, it kind of seemed that Scheifele was, going to be one of those guys that would definitely be, in the lineup, never mind, even being a scratch. It seemed like he was going to be one of the 12 forwards starting for Team Canada at the Olympics, given his pace to start the year. But then out comes Macklin Celebrini looking absolutely incredible, doing stuff we haven't seen since Sidney Crosby was a rookie in 06, right? The guy's putting up crazy numbers, crazy talented player. And does that mean that Macklin Celebrini makes it into the top 12 forward slot? I think he does. I think he makes that lineup. I think if, you're Team Canada and you keep Celebrini out, you're crazy. I don't think that's an option. Connor Bedard, on the other hand, also having a very good year, maybe not as polished at this point as a Celebrini, but I think he'll be on the roster. I think you'd be crazy not to have him. Does that squeeze out Mark Scheifele, right? Does Mark Scheifele make it as an extra? I think that's kind of where we're at right now. I think Mark Scheifele is going to make Team Canada, but I don't know if he's going to start day one. If injuries arise to guys, I think that he'll slip in there. And Scheifele's a guy that you can really play anywhere. He makes everybody on his line better. I do have him probably playing on the wing. I do wonder if he would be a guy that would play with, McKinnon and Crosby, but I could also see Macklin Celebrini taking that spot, right? I think Celebrini would be a very nice fit. It really just comes down to how Team Canada is going to manage their roster. But I think Mark Scheifele is going to make the team, but there's a real possibility now with the young guys coming up that he could be the biggest snub once again. 2 other Jets that I think could be headed to the Olympics. One, Nino Niederreiter. I'd consider him a lock for Team Switzerland, one of Switzerland's best talents. 4 goals, 7 assists this year. He's really started hot through the first, 16 games of the year. Unless there's an injury, Nino Niederreiter will be on that Olympic team for Team Switzerland. He's going to be one of their better players. Obviously, Switzerland does have some good ones, but I do imagine Nino Niederreiter will be a prominent part of that team. The other player that I do wonder if he makes it is Gustav Nyquist. Was a part of the Four Nations team, last year for Sweden. Does he make that team again? Hard to say. 5 assists through 11 games. Has had some injuries this season, but I would imagine that Nyquist will at least be on the roster for Team Sweden. But that's really all I got today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, as always. What do you guys think about these players heading to the Olympics? Do you think they're going to have a big impact? Do you think Connor Hellebuyck can, reel home a gold for Team USA? Do you think Mark Scheifele is going to make the roster? Do you think that Kyle Connor is going to have a bigger part in this year's team? I want to hear about it, guys. Leave it all down below. That's all I got. As always, leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Go Jets, go. Bye-bye.